We are excited. We got a great interview today with Dr. Braverman. He's an expert MD. I've worked with him for about 12 years. We have the chairman of Voice of the Kids, Clem Yeboah, on the phone. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Surajit Khanna.
Thank you very much, Gary, Dr. Braverman. Thank you, Clem.
My pleasure.
It's Friday. It's a good Friday. So want to welcome all the audience here. I'm Dr. Surajit Khanna. I'm a child advocate, as Gary mentioned, and I'm a big proponent of child safety. Today, I'm very excited to have the special guest, Dr. Eric Braverman, who is an American physician. He's also a medical director of WPAT Medical and coordinator of research, clinical research. He's located in New York City, Manhattan. Our topic of today's discussion is the best diet for children. Since this show is always dedicated to children, for children's safety, with all the recent information coming out about the poor health and obesity of our US children, there is an increased attention for this. Mothers and fathers want the best for their kids, but let's be honest, it is not easy. When shopping at a health food store does not guarantee you the best result for your kids. Beneficial effects mainly results from the correction of poor nutritional status. One of the big culprits that we are seeing today, which has negative effects on children, is sugar. In today's segment on the Voice of the Kids radio show, which is broadcasted here to 30 million homes in the tri-state area, it is a big fortune for me and Clem Yeboah and Gary on behalf of Voice of the Kids, interviewing Dr. Eric Braverman, who is a leading figure in the practice of brain-body health care. Children's behavior comes from the brain. So if the brain is not acting properly, the behavior does not mean anything. Before I turn this to Eric Braverman, I would have Gary Scarano introduce him.
So we're here today to talk to Dr. Eric Braverman. Join us on Facebook at Khanna, Khanna, the number 4 kids, Khanna 4 kids. We're on the radio at 9:30 a.m. Now, Dr. Braverman is a leading figure. I've worked with him for years. I know that he's had over 500 positive comments, praises, testimonials on his Facebook, his Twitter, his social media pages. He's solved some amazing issues. You can find him on YouTube. There's a lot of testimonials there on the Dr. Braverman on YouTube. He's a leading figure. He's written many books, bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, The Edge Effect, Younger You, Younger, Thinner You. Without any more ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eric Braverman and Surajit Khanna. Thank you.
What do we do about the sugar, the white, it's called white gold, and how we cut that out of kids' lives? I mean, we have to raise dopamine levels in the brain and not have sugar at home. And the way that all addiction works, even in children, is abstinence. The more they're exercising up to an hour a day, the more they're going to enjoy eating healthy. The fish oil, the more they take cod liver oil, which raises dopamine, or brain energy supplements that Gary knows all about with rhodiola and tyrosine and phenylalanine, the more they're going to lose their sugar appetite. Growing up on chocolate, myself, we used to call it Bosco, and now 45 years in medicine, it is a life work once a child touches sugar to come off of it. As we know with alcoholics, they're always battling alcoholism. Once narcotics addicts, always battling. Once you fall into the trap of repetitive destructiveness, you are very vulnerable. You can't do enough for your kids if you don't keep them away from sugar and get them to the point where they observe the sugar's effect on them. It's just too high like a burst into the brain of energy. Now, you can get the kid energy through lecithin, called tryptophan, There are so many ways and supplements to make your kids smarter. And you can test and homeschool. And even if you're not a homeschooler, you're still a homeschooler. The primary teacher of every child is raise up a child in the way they should go, and they will not depart from it. The greatest exercise of the brain possible still remains Bible study, science, mathematics, science study, physics, a child in the way they should go, and they will not depart from it. The greatest exercise of the brain possible still remains Bible study, science, mathematics, science study, physics study. The iPhone is the greatest encyclopedia in the world. It's not being used. Assessments of brain chemistry are not being used, and the children get great vaccines, but they're not getting a great education, and they're not getting a great supplement regimen. I play games with kids. We get them to eat green beans by flying a green bean into their mouth. Whatever, having fresh vegetables cut and chopped on the breakfast table and on the dinner table almost has to be a habit of every parent. Yogurt with probiotics has to be a habit. Small trampolines has to be a habit. Exercise, small dumbbells for the 15-year-old kid and the 13-year-old kid. Exercise, you can never do enough. Who can get the hour in a day of exercise that we're supposed to do? So we're in a new era where, children can have a total transformation. They have the greatest tool in the history of the world, better than any encyclopedia, in their phone. We can afford the vegetables, the fruits, and everything else, but you have to avoid the temptation. One thing at a time. With exercise, with older kids, and you have to make a deal and get them excited on the rebounder. The parents have to be exercising an hour a day, and they are giving the iPhone video game as the babysitter while they take care of themselves. And they're not understanding that they do need to exercise with their children. Every single person, even if they were Jesus today, they would have the challenges of meeting the needs. Another way to make a deal is with the planks, which have to be for 2 minutes and held for 2 minutes as kids start to get stronger. To make a deal with that, you say, all right, you can watch, I'll make a deal that you do the History Channel, you're going to watch Grant. It's train up a child. Being a parent is hard work. And
Dr. Braverman, let me just jump in. When you are doing a regular walk or you're not exerting a lot of energy, do you have to build up a sweat to get the best of it, or just a block walk really casually?
A block walk is not. Walking is not sufficient unless you do the following. You have to, and most people, they have to wear heavier sweats. So, for example, even on a day like this, if you put a sweatshirt on and you wear sweatpants and you want to just walk and you just don't have the motivation and you don't want to live on more coffee and you already had 2 cups of coffee and you still can't get a workout in, and you know what, the kids are frequently given ice cream so that they can exercise. We don't want to do that. So let's say motivation is weak. The body has to be warmed up. So the way to warm it up is to wear heavier clothing all the time. So in the winter, a person can start the elliptical at a slower pace with 2 or 3 sweatshirts on. And you can be stretched by a physical therapist or a chiropractor. If you're stiff, an adult will have to take Advil or Tylenol. A kid could even take Tylenol if they claim their joints are hurting. So by warming up the body, you're going to do more exercise.